What is up, friends? Why am I so tiny? Yes, I'm the tiny little no, I'm not. Welcome to John's Comics with Friends and a hopefully useful tutorial on how to play and what is Dungeons and Dragons. Those of you that have been following along the last month or so, I announced that I would be leading a campaign, being a dungeon master for the first time in a really long time, like since high school, I think. Really, I will be leading a campaign and be a dungeon master. So I was trying to prep the viewers of my channel a little bit so that they could make up their minds for themselves. Do I want to watch this? Am I willing to enjoy and go for the ride on the shenanigans, or is this not for me? And both answers are completely valid, but if nothing else, I felt the teacher come out in me and the desire to try and explain this simply as possible. So that is the goal for this evening. I'm doing part one of a two-part maybe show in and around the how to, why, and wherefore of D&D. So hopefully you end this with a little bit of knowledge, or at least have a laugh with me on this journey. I appreciate everybody coming by and having some time watching this. And if you're catching this on the replay later on and found this, circuitously, this might be a great way to note how to do the game and then follow us on our live streams, because coming up at the end of August, I'm going to be starting to do regular Sunday live streams with a crew playing Dungeons and Dragons in the comic book community. There are several channels linked down below who will be playing along with me. And if you want to follow those channel content creators, you can find their stuff down below. And then you'll know exactly who will be doing the shenanigans with me every Sunday. But let's say hello to some friends in the chat. And then I've got to spin a wheel a couple, because it's actually the beginning of August and I need to give away a channel member gift as well. But we got Old Wolf in the chat. What's going on, Tony? He is one of the people whose links is down below. He is going to be suffering under my rule, along with Paul from Big O. So it looks like my my players are in the chat trying to get a sense of what I've got in store for them. Tony says he's ready, or maybe just helping me over explain everything. That's my goal. That's my goal. We got Dan's Comic Corner. What's going on, Dan? He was intrigued by this, never played before. It's perfect. Then you're in the right place. I appreciate you. Late. You left this comment at 5:30. It is, I've been going live for 3 minutes. It's 5:34 with a 1 minute late. Come on, always. My crew just shaming me already. Tony is first in something. John trying to be useful, almost as shocking as Tony being first at something. I mean, this is crazy. First is wine drinking before 11 a.m. as well. I mean, there you go. There you go. He was drinking early, yes, over the weekend. I know that. We got Hall, yeah, in the what's going on, Nate? Good. So I was on a live stream just yesterday with this fine gentleman, having a good laugh and good hangout over where are we on a Side Quest Comics over on Eric's channel. Hope the first day of school, I don't know if you were doing staff development or whatnot, but I hope it went well today. Looks like I am second, so I can take first from him. There you go. What is up, Comic Cap Collectibles? Thank you, everybody, for coming by. Let me spin our first wheel for giveaways here. These are the people in the New Mutants tier. My New Mutants homies, I have got 12 of them. That means 3 of these folks, 1 for every 5 people there, are going to be on the wheel. I'm going to shuffle this. Let's see. Boom. Boom. And then I'm going to spin it. I need to get 3 names off of this wheel here. Oh, center that a little bit better there so you guys can see. 3 names. Oh, that's up at the top. There it is. Drew Manchu Bay. I'm going to add Drew's name to the big prize wheel here. Congrats to you, Drew. And then I'm going to hide him on this wheel and shuffle it again. 1, 2, 3, and spin again, because I need 3 names. I need 3 people off this list. Adventurous Joe. Congrats to you, Joe. I will add you as well. Adventurous Joe just made the cut. And 3, I'll hide him, and I'll do 3 more shuffles and spin that wheel one last time for this crew. And then later at the end of the show, I'll spin for the big winner, Conlon Stevie. Well done, sir. Well done. Congrats to all those fine folks. I will remove that wheel for now because I don't need it anymore. I will add Conlon, and then a little bit later, I will spin the big wheel and see who the big prize winner is, because I'm giving away a fun signed David Nakayama cover from what was it's an Emma Frost variant beautiful Emma Frost variant. So I'll be giving that away as well. Who else we got here? Yeah, another one of the players. We got Adam in the chat. What's going on, Adam? Hope people are having a good Monday overall. Let's see. Full on teaching today. Woof. I'm not ready for that. Although I'm still running summer camps for my school. So I'm doing all the summer camp management this time of the year. Hey, not so long. I've been put up the youngest to bed, but she was busy and I popped on. Well, there you go. All right. How many comments do I take first from Tony? You can keep trying. I don't know that there's a lot of logic to that ranking inside of YouTube. Well, let's get to the first question I've got. When I came to thinking about how to do this, my first question that I thought people would have is, what the heck is this thing? What is D&D? What is it? It's very complicated, but I think we can sum it up as saying it's a role-playing game. I mean, that's the simplistic way to say it, right? It's just a game where a group of people pretend to be other people and explore a universe. And there's a sort of group storytelling that happens as a result. You have a dungeon master who kind of guides the story, and then a group of players who interact with the story, and then ultimately change and direct it and move it in a variety of ways. But this is kind of the fun of Dungeons and Dragons. You don't necessarily know where the story is going to go. As much as there's a plan and an idea and a general beginning, middle, and end, the players have a lot of control in how the story plays out. I have a little video I was going to play for you. I know this is like the teacher in me, but it's actually comic book related. There was a great interview with the actress Deborah Woll and actor John Berenthal. And maybe you've seen clips from this or you've caught it. And in fact, I put the link for the video down below. If you don't know who those people are, these are actors from the Daredevil Born Again television show. And Deborah Woll plays D&D and has a really good time. And she's trying to explain it and sort of give a hint of it to John Berenthal, who is very much like, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know if I'm ready for this. So I'm going to play a little piece of this video that I thought was really clever, the way she kind of does this. So I'll put myself kind of off to the side here. So this is somewhere around the 1 minute mark of this 8-minute video. And I'll go a little bit bigger. There we go. So we can see the whole thing. And I put the little words here on the bottom. It's a great sequence that I think really summarizes it well. So I'll play this for you. Hopefully you can hear it.
I mean, I'll try. I mean, what do you think?
No,
I'd
like
be able to do
literally right now.
Sure.
All right. So what do you see? You've got a bow strapped to your back, a sword and a dagger at your hilt, right? So you're walking through the woods. It's dark. It's at night. Almost no moonlight is coming through. You hear a crack off in the distance. Something large stepped on a branch. What would you do?
First thing, how far away is the crack?
Give me a perception check. So then you roll dice and we'd see how perceptive you are. Let's say you roll a 13. Okay. And you're pretty perceptive. So you have a +3 to that. That's 16. So I know, okay, 16, that's pretty perceptive. You think it's about 20 feet away.
Okay. It's about 20 feet away.
She's so great.
I think I take out my bow first.
Yeah. So you take a bow, you're readied, you're aimed, you're looking.
Right at where the spot's coming. Yeah.
Okay. Slowly creeping towards you, suddenly into view, a little bit of eye shine in the darkness. You see an owl bear. This is a 10, 15 foot tall monster. It looks like an owl, but it has the body of a bear. It opens its beak and squawks at you.
She's great.
What do you do?
Guess which student has a better chance of getting into an Ivy League school? First, take a look at Zach.
Apologies. Of course I get a commercial. All right.
Have I ever met an owl bear before? Like, are owl bears?
We could do a history check. So this is D&D. You're playing D&D.
What do you mean a history check?
So a history check would be like, in your past, in your history, have you experienced
Okay, so how do I check? Yeah, let's check.
You roll a dice. Let's say you have a low history. You roll a 13, but you have a -3. That's a 10. So no, you've never met an owl bear in your life. You have no idea whether it's threatening or not, but it is squawking at you.
I'd be like, yo, are you my friend or are you my foe?
Fantastic. You speak to it?
Yeah, I try.
Give me an animal handling check. So you'd roll another one. So this is, we kind of see based on your character sheet that you've created, you're going to be good and bad at different things.
Who I create the sheet?
You could, or I could, or you could get a pre-made sheet.
Why don't you just make your sheet that you're great at everything?
Because, a wizard who's in school studying books to learn magic, you're probably not spending that much time in the gym. Versus if you're, a knight who goes out and slays dragons, maybe you're socially awkward and don't know how to talk to people. So your
So is it
charisma
within your
status.
interest to like not be great at everything?
You want flaws. Like one of my favorite
I
characters.
love it. So I'm not gonna play the whole video. It's really good though. If you are curious about the basics, I think Deborah and Woll does a phenomenal job, just kind of giving you a sense of what it's like to play the game. And like I said, I'll do another episode of this, like a tutorial on how to make characters, and that's where they were kind of going with the little bit there at the end. But I like how she explains the way it plays out, right? Your character is going to have strong suits and weak suits. They're going to have things that they're good at, things that they're not good at. And as they journey through the world, it's a luck of the dice that plays the biggest factor, right? You often use a 20-sided die as the primary determiner of did you succeed or did you fail at something? And you might be exceptional at something. You might be the greatest, strong man and just have incredible strength and have a bad moment, have a bad day and roll a 1 and critically fail. And you might inversely be awful at something. And yet somehow in your past, you had this one key moment that allowed you to succeed in this moment, right? Or your intuition, might play a factor. So the fun of the game is really just the journey that the group goes on and the things they try to do. And it can be an absolute roller coaster ride where people are completely off script. Somebody is just spending all their time trying to win over the bar maiden and never really getting out onto the quest. It can be very quest focused and you're getting a lot done and accomplishing tasks and leveling up and achieving ends. The options are truly somewhat limitless because within the confines of the game and the characters that you're playing, this story can take a lot of twists and turns. And that's the fun, right? It's group storytelling, and it can absolutely take you all over the place. I want to say hello to some friends, like jumped in the chat. I saw Bleeker is in here. What is going on, Bleeker? Good to see you. Eric, good to see E in the chat. I was on his channel yesterday. He says she has a killer description. I totally agree. It's one of my favorite. When I bump into people who are like, what is this? What is this thing? I always send that video clip if I can find it to them. It's just really, concise and she really comes in strong. Now you know how we feel when you get a commercial. I mean, yep, that's the reality. My character appears to have lots of flaws. I mean, that's the fun of it, right? That's the fun of it is the character will have strong and weak areas, and when they're forced to do something that's a challenge, that's difficult for them, that's kind of the fun, right? So yeah, you as an individual player create your character, and they will have skills and attributes and knowledge and abilities and tools. And then the storyteller, the dungeon master, plants them in and starts telling the tale, and they start interacting with one another and with what they are often called NPCs, the non-player characters, right? I, as the DM, I'm going to be in charge of all of these other characters that are in the universe. And then it's my job to make them interact with each other in an authentic way. So that if my character is evil and their character is good, there's going to be confrontation probably on morality and ethics and decision-making, right? And these things will continue to play out. And if I have a big bad that they're trying to, take out or steal from or whatever, then they're going to try to figure out ways to achieve their goals. And I'm going to not necessarily be there to try to stop them, but I'm going to authentically be playing those other characters. The freedom of this is the fun, because if old Wolf decides, I'm going to slap that bard maiden on the rear end, I've got to decide how that bar maiden responds. He's going to roll for how well that moment is perceived. I'm going to roll for how well the bar maiden receives it. And we go from there, and things might escalate or de-escalate depending on the responses that these characters have to one another. It can be a lot of fun. It is improv. It is absolutely improv. And I know a lot of theater nerds and people who have done improv have a lot of fun with it. There's a ton of great celebrities who play Dungeons and Dragons. Vince Vaughn has had a regular game for a really long time. I want to say Vin Diesel as well has been playing for a long time. So you'll hear stories of people in all walks of life, but certainly actors, it makes a lot of sense, might have a lot of fun with it. So that's the basics of kind of how it works. What do you need to play? Obviously, the most basic thing that people need when they want to play is the player's handbook. And it comes in several editions, right? Most commonly right now, people are using the 5th edition or the 5th volume of the series, right? You can get it digitally, you can get it in a hardcover, or you can get both. And it's got all the information. As you can see, I've marked mine for all kinds of things. So the character I was just playing, he was a gnome. And so I've marked the section on gnomes just so that I have the information about that species, that race, right? He was also a wizard, and I marked the page for wizard, and it's got all the stats and information for wizards. I also marked, because he's a wizard, I marked where the spells are located so I can flip through. And if I had spells I used a lot, I marked those spells, because if I was ready with that fireball, I wanted it to be pulled immediately. So there are pages that I marked for certain things. You also come up with a little backstory for your character. And so I picked the sage backstory. Then it starts right here and then goes on to the next page so I could get the information I needed for that character. This is the most basic tool that a person playing the game will need. And again, it can be digital, it can be hard copy, it can be both, just as long as they're able to access it. And then they can use this to craft their character. Ideally, they're keeping the dungeon master in the loop, and I'll get to that next, because the other book I need is the Dungeon Master's Guide. And this gives you basic information on how to run a campaign, what I need to be doing. And that's the next bit I want to discuss with you guys, which is what's my job here. We said this is group storytelling. It's my job to set the stage, right? I am picking the universe or the location where the story takes place. I am crafting some of the people that they will come in contact with regularly. That might be a barkeeper, an innkeeper, a sales or tradesman of some kind, a villain, an assistant, a helper, a quest giver. There are all sorts of non-player characters that will not just make one appearance, but might make regular appearances. And so I didn't change my banner, but the big thing that I do as the dungeon master is I try to keep the story moving, and I have crafted enough of these side characters to enable the players in the game to have things to interact with. And again, that can be people that they are confronting and fighting. It can be people that they are bartering and trading with. It could be people that they don't know whether they can trust. It could be people that are sending them out on quests to help them in some way, right? And that's my function in all of this. To that end, this is the book I am using. And if anybody has this, I'm doing a series of quests from a book called Keys from the Golden Vault. And what they are is a series of quests that take place in a big city. And that's what the big storyline is going to be in my book, in my adventures with these. And I'm not going to give much away because obviously my friends, they're all in the chat here and I don't want to give too much away. Ruben is in the chat. He says, I miss D&D with my old neighbor. It's a good fun time. It's a good social time to hang out, be together for sure. Eat things that you probably shouldn't, drink things you might not necessarily need to. But it is a lot of fun. So what this book is it's kind of an anthology of little quests. And the plot line for this campaign that I'm running is that it is a series of missions and heists, not unlike an Ocean's 11 or a Mission Impossible. That's the framework that I'm working in here. The players are all going to make characters with a certain set of skills, and they're going to come together. I'm going to try to form them into a little team in the first episode, the first session, and then send them out on various quests to achieve certain things. I have quest givers and things like that, and they'll basically be giving them assignments in and around this large city. This story is not going to take place like out in the wilderness or out on the ocean or anything like that. It's going to take place in a city. It's going to be very metropolitan, not necessarily very classy, but certainly urban in story, right? And there will be lots of buildings and rival gangs and law enforcement and things like that within the confines of a typical medieval city. And of course, all the various races that you find in Dungeons and Dragons, whether that's elves or dwarves or goblins and these kinds of things. The fun of this adventure is it's a very basic framework, and it allows me to come up with fun characters to fill specific roles. And then I can navigate those characters in assisting or getting in the way of the player characters. What is up? Aggressively relaxing in the chat. He says, I'm lawful good till I'm at a buffet. And that's chaotic neutral. That's accurate. And he's bringing up a great point, which is the alignment of the characters is a huge part. And I think maybe an often underappreciated part of Dungeons and Dragons, the moral code of these characters is vital, right? If they were all chaotic, evil characters who were just out there to watch the world burn, as the Joker often is called to do, it would be a bit of a frustrating campaign. Ideally, the characters have some moral code and some guiding force. They don't necessarily have to be good, because obviously I'm sending them on missions to maybe steal, assassinate or what have you. They have to have in this story that I'm doing with them, a slightly skewed moral code. But that is the goal of me, the dungeon master, is to give them guidance when they make their characters, so that we all feel like once this story begins, they have a place in this team and a desire to go after these missions that we get sent on, right? What is up? Cliff is in the chat. What's going on, my man? Cliff? I mean, that's the reality of this set. And the reason why I liked this volume, Rev, is that it allows for a lot of rogues, a lot of scoundrels, a lot of thieves and troublemakers in some ways. And that's and then in an urban setting, doesn't that make for a little bit of hilarity, a little bit of fun? And so my plan was to allow them not necessarily to be evil, but certainly, your Han Solos of the world, right? Those characters that might not necessarily fall within the parameters of a good citizen, but also they have a moral code, right? Han Solo, despite being something of a scoundrel, has a moral code. And I think that's what I was looking for sure. What's up? Darth Lopez is in the chat. He was live a little bit ago with Reverend Bleeker talking about all kinds of things interrelated to comics and pop culture and media and all kinds of goodness. What is going on? John Stout's in the chat. What's going on, John? Shenanigans all over. I love a good shenanigans quest. And ultimately, a lot of the missions that I send them on, they will have to come up with a strategy. They're going to have to come up with a plan. They're going to have to figure out how to work together. And the mission can fail or succeed and yet still be an entertainment. And then they'll get their next quest and continue on. There will be rival gangs. So as our team might achieve certain ends, it's possible they'll come in contact with antagonists that'll get in their way, or people that are trying to achieve the same end. And then it's like, now you got competition. And of course, the people you might be stealing from, they're not going to want their things stolen. So you've got people in your way on that level as well. Berenthal, what's going on? Happy Monday to you. I hope it went well. So yeah, that's my goal, to keep the story moving, to keep the story fun, and to be aware of all the options in and around the characters. Because again, group storytelling means I might really want them to be successful, cracking the safe. But if they roll a 1 and have a critical failure, I have no choice but to then, have an alarm go off and guards be aware and start coming and things. So, I can have a desire of where I want the story to go, but can they get there? It's a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it is up to how they roll and how the decisions they choose to make. Have you ever played the Marvel version of D&D? I never have. When I was in high school and college, we did play a lot of D&D, and there was a system called, I know it sounds weird, it's called GURPS, Group Universal Role Play System, GURPS. And the fun of that one is it was very flexible, and you could craft a game built. If you wanted to make Mad Max role play, you could do it. We often did superheroes. And so what we did was a very urban kind of, New York setting, and each person made a superhero with a certain set of powers. And then there was a rival superhero team, and we could tell a superhero story, and everybody's character could be very unique. I could do a Nightcrawler variation who could teleport and, might look a certain way. Yeah. Steve Jackson. There it is. Steve Jackson Games. And we loved GURPS. I did a whole Western campaign at one time, and everybody made a cowboy, and, they were trying to rob a train and stuff. The fun of GURPS was that you could craft a story that wasn't necessarily magic based and had knights and swords and things. It was a lot of fun. What's up, John? He says, just hosting D&D at the Resident last night. Hey, that's perfect. So I am training myself to become a DM again for the first time in a long time. And I thought it'd be fun in that process, while I'm in that headspace, to maybe do a couple of these fun tutorials. This is the only one I'll probably do solo. The next one that I do will probably have a couple of players who want to join and make their characters or finish their characters live. Can join, because I will be on the next one of these tutorials making characters. So let's take a second and talk a little bit about that. How do you play D&D? The first thing that you usually have to do as a player is make your character. And there it is. I am still old school enough to like making characters on paper, and I will write things down, and I'll keep little notes, and I'll score things that way. Character sheets are a lot of fun, and honestly, it's one of my favorite parts of Dungeons and Dragons, and making your character up. It's a whole lot of fun. And what you do is you start by choosing the two most important pieces for your character, which is their race. Am I an elf? Am I a dwarf? Am I a gnome? And their class. Am I a wizard? Am I a fighter? Right? You're starting to look at physically, who are you and what can you do? So a lot of these things align well one way or the other, right? You might notice that a certain class, like my gnome, really works well with casting spells, and they might fit perfectly with being a wizard. Versus you might notice that an elf might work really well with a bow and arrow and be a natural archer, right? So you might align a certain race with a certain class because it just fits nicely together, right? And in doing so, your character might start to form naturally. Oh, okay, he's an elf and he's good with a bow and arrow, so he grew up in the woods and he grew up hunting, and his family did this or that. Now you've started to get a sense of this character. And once you assign an alignment to them, he is a lawful good character, meaning he agrees with the rule of law and he tries his best to follow the rules, and he believes in doing what is right. Okay, now you have a very noble, meaning a morally good character. Okay, and that might guide him in the decisions that he makes, but he might also be ignorant of how to be in a city. And, he's lived his life in the woods, and he starts to realize I don't necessarily agree with the rules in this city where I can't just make a campfire on the street corner and cook the squirrel I caught. Like, what's the deal here? Right. So you end up with these fun discussions in and around your character and how they think. So this is a whole lot of fun. And this is one of my favorite parts. It sounds problematic. Assigning base attributes to characters based solely on their race. It is factual. You're definitely stereotyping what is a dwarf, what is a gnome, and what is an elf. But it doesn't mean you can't go against stereotyping, and that's fun. Having a gnome fighter might be very entertaining, because isn't that what Wolverine is, right? You just pick him up and throw him at the bad guys. And so there is a lot of fun to be had breaking stereotypes with your characters, and knowing when you want a character to fit a certain mold or break that mold is a lot of fun. So, and my characters will ideally know how they would like to respond in a certain scenario. If they are faced with somebody bullying them, if they are faced with a risky proposition, if they are faced with the opportunity to get riches, how will they respond, right? How will they reply? That's intrinsic to the character that they're trying to make. And so that's kind of some of that fun. Tony says, I currently love the digital character sheets. It covers and fixes all of my mistakes, and I need a ton of covering and fixing. Yes. So there are websites, and I've used D&D Beyond as a website that has a certain amount of free capabilities, and you can make a certain number of characters completely for free and then print them out. And that's usually where I start. And that's why these say D&D Beyond up there at the top. But then after you do that, if you want to edit and add certain things, you can do that manually, or some of the components you might want to add might not be free, and you would want to add those things manually because the program might not allow it. Now, D&D Beyond allows you to pay and add all kinds of things onto your account so that you have more flexibility if you choose to do that. But I am obviously a fan of making these kinds of things as cheap and free as possible. So you're already buying a few hardcover books. I don't know that we all want to then pay for digital versions through this program so that you can do it. And that's up to the players and the DMs and those kinds of people. And there are other apps as well, but I do like D&D Beyond. It's a pretty decent starting place. And if you are willing to buy a couple of the digital versions through their app and through their website, it'll automatically include them when you're making characters and adjusting your characters. So that if you want to have, my wizard really loves this one spell, you might not have access to it unless you buy that bundle right in their program. And then you can add all those spells that you want for your character. Hopefully I'm not going too deep into this. But that's the design of this whole thing. And making your character usually involves rolling dice. And that's what we will do a little bit of on the next session. My players will have an opportunity to roll some 6-sided traditional, dice, and then use those scores to craft their characters' 6 primary attributes. And those are strength, dexterity, constitution, which is, your health, intelligence, meaning what do you know, wisdom, meaning what have you learned in life, and charisma, and how charming you are. Those 6 facets, those 6 attributes really become vital for determining your character's successes and failures, right? If you are strong and you want to try to break down a door, you're going to have more success. My little gnome, who has a -1 at strength, is not going to be the guy to bust down that door, right? So versus my character was quite intelligent and book smart, and he could come up with a piece of knowledge that nobody else had because he had read it somewhere, right? Inversely, some of the characters who are very charismatic might be able to persuade someone to a certain way of thinking because they're just so darn charming. Dexterity is usually more for certain kinds of weapons that you might throw or shoot. It might include certain acrobatic skills and things like that. And then wisdom, the ability to understand based on your experiences what would be needed. Those things are each one of them. I see you, Tony. Each one of them valuable in their own way. And then, yeah, constitution is your character's health. And the higher your constitution, the healthier and heartier your character is when they get into fighting. You literally carried my character many times. This is true. But he's a gnome. Like he didn't mind it. He was book learned, but he didn't mind. He's like Yoda. You throw him on your back, you can carry him as you choose. I saw Cole in the chat. Cole, my friend, I haven't seen you in a hot minute. It's good to see you, sir. He says, do you need a wizard who is just part of a pyramid scheme selling spell books? So I'm your fan. Sounds like somebody's been reading Dungeon Crawler Carl. Impressed Comics Matt says, okay, somebody told me there was another way to spend time, money that I'm not already doing. It sent me to this live stream. Fair. Yes, obviously Sydney Sweeney has both physical attributes that are charming and then potentially a personality that might also be the same way. So yeah, that's how you play. You make your characters, and then the storyteller, the DM, tells the story. That's some of the basics right there. Let me put this banner away real quick. I need to spin my wheel here one more time because I got to do a giveaway for my channel members. So let me add that to the screen real quick before I wrap this tutorial session up. Thank you all for hanging out and being patient. As you can see, let's see how it looks on the big screen. Yeah, you can see me there. Those are the names of the people entered to win. I got Drew, an Adventurous Joe, and Conlon that I just added to the list that included Ariel Red, Bearded, who just won last month, Coach Vic, Daymare's Jigs, JP, Matt, who's in the chat, impressed. We got Magic Lasso, Old Wolf, Rob Boswell, and X11 Bravo. I'm going to shuffle that 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and the winner will get the David Nakayama Emma Frost variant that I picked up at San Diego. So good luck with that person, and I'll get to pick some trades and some other goodies. X11, boom! Oh, to Bravo. I will stop sharing that. X11 Bravo was my very first channel member, so he has been waiting patiently, but he also is notorious for regifting. So it's likely I will pile some goodies together for him to enjoy and read, and then he will regift them, oftentimes to those incredible veterans and military members in our community. So I'm going to try to put some things together for him so that hopefully he can enjoy that. Boogie Bentley's in the chat. What's up, Boogie? He says, hey, hope all's well, John. Popping in and saying hi. Good stuff as always. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. She has good genes. I mean, fair. I have that book. Haven't read it. Currently reading Project Hail Mary and the Only Good Indians. Nice. Okay, let me know how those are. I just finished Dungeon Crawler Carl, the first book in that series, and I've started the second book in that series. And they do have some D&D adjacent kind of stuff going on in those books. So it seems apropos for this discussion for sure. Let's see here. Congrats to X11. Yes, absolutely. Old Wolf is here. Yep, watch out. So that's just the basics, the basic ideas, the things that you need as far as the books that you might need. There's one other book I've got on the way that I did not own, and I found a really cheap one on eBay. You might be able to find cheap D&D books on eBay if you're trying to find them. I got a monster manual that's coming its way in here. It's got basically all the information on the most common creatures that might encounter your characters at any given moment. So it allows me to flip through and know the stats, know some of the information for a variety of creatures as we come along. So that is on its way. It should arrive later this week, but that should be a whole lot of fun. But you also need dice. You can do digital dice, and there are apps for your phone and for your that you can use on your computer where you can spin digital dice if you want to. That's perfectly fine. But a lot of comic book shops and certainly every con I've ever been to has somebody selling dice for a pretty reasonable price. You can get a little set of all the basic dice. The main ones you need usually are the 20-sided dice, and then usually some 6-sided dice, which I used to pull them out of the Yahtzee game we had at home and things like that. So, but if you have those things and you go online and you can use the free D&D Beyond, you can make your characters and you can follow along. The next one of these I do, and I'm not sure when it'll be. It'll probably be sometime in the middle of the week next week, is going to be the character creation episode. And what I will do is I will be making one character, and a couple of the members of the crew who will be playing along with me will join, and we'll all be sort of working through the kinks of trying to build our characters. It should be a lot of fun. It should be quite silly and entertaining. Again, all the links down below are for the folks that will be joining me on the regular. Some of them obviously are very busy and they're not under any obligation to join for these tutorial sessions. But when we are all ready and everybody feels like they're comfortable with their characters and they feel set, then we'll do our official launch episode, which I believe is going to be August 24th. We tend to do these for an hour and a half to 2 hours every Sunday. So we'll start on August 24th and then go from there. That is the current plan. Thank you very much. I appreciate folks in the chat. I appreciate that very much so. We are very patiently waiting for the DCC comments. Okay. I mean, I was trying not to invade the space too much, but yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking it's not going to be Sunday. It might be Monday or Tuesday next week, depending on. No, wait, actually, I think I'm doing a show next Tuesday, so it might have to be Monday or Wednesday next week. But I'll drop the comment into our little group, Tony, and then we'll pick the day that fits best for everybody. I don't want to impact anybody's plans for what they're doing. Holy cow, he's got book 6 now of Dungeon Crawler, Carl. I bought a digital bundle that has 1 through 7. But I bought a hard copy of volume of the first book. So that'll work. You're not around all week next week? You gone all week? What are you doing to me, man? What are you doing to me, Tony? We'll figure it out, Tony. Don't worry. We'll figure something out. Congrats to X11 Bravo. And thank you to those channel members. I think I held these up at the beginning of the show, but I'll do it one more time. My channel members often hanging out in my chat, having a good time. I appreciate the support. Of course, none of that is necessary. You just hit the like button, come by and hang out with us when we're going live. I appreciate all of that. And that's what makes this mostly fun, is just the interaction with all you guys. Got the RPG got juices going. I appreciate that. It's a whole lot of fun. Good. I'm glad you're more excited to play. You also get the treat of me trying to do a ton of bad accents. I'm going to try my best to absolutely go ham on these accents. So we'll see how well I do. Not expecting anybody else to do the same, but that's going to be my goal for me, is to see how many accents I can throw at you guys and how bad do they come out? That's the real question. Thanks everybody for coming and hanging out. Oh, Marcus. FYI, Marcus, I made a video that mentions you several times. It'll drop next week, I think. It'll drop next week. But I do need to record some stuff for you as well. I did not get to that this weekend, so I'll have to see when I can get to that as soon as I can. But yes, a video with Marcus in it comes up several times, and it might come out this Thursday, buddy. You know what? I'm gonna just check right now, just because I'm live, and why not? I made a video all about that West Coast Avengers book and why is that book spiking? Like, what is the purpose behind a West Coast Avengers 35 spiking? And that video, Marcus, just for your knowledge, drops on Thursday, so you can check that out. He said it in the Discord, like, what is it with this book, man? And I was like, well, I'm gonna read it, and then I'm going to make a video on this just for you. There you go. He's about to talk about that book. Well, there you go. Head on over to JP Budget Collecting in 15 minutes. They're going to kick off their weekly debate and discussion about the hot lists and how those books might turn out in the end. Those are always very entertaining. I'm usually right there in the chat. There's no purpose behind any West Coast Adventures book being popular. I mean, fair. I did come to that conclusion myself. The video, Marcus, is very short too. It's like 7 minutes, my 7-minute rant. But I also share some pictures from the inside of the book because, you know, how many people actually read the inside of that book? I appreciate all you guys for coming by and hanging out and learning. Maybe, hopefully you learned some things. If you have questions, if there's things that I didn't answer, if you're confused by what I shared, leave me a comment. I'd love to help answer some of that. Maybe I'll make some short videos trying to answer some questions to help people better understand what's going on. And then hopefully next week, I can do that video, that live stream, making some fun characters with people in the community. So that's the plan. Thanks everybody for coming by, and I'll see you again soon.